All right, hey everybody, hey, cut the music, Paul. Come on, just cut it right now. Just a hard cut. Boom. It's gone, right?
It's
okay.
gone.
Now
No
I
more
can
music.
talk. We have to cut the music short today.
Okay.
Because we don't have time to party and dance with podcast music. We have time to party and dance with MLB opening day.
Happy opening day to you, Chris Creamer. You know what occurs to me? We didn't introduce ourselves last time. Last episode, we
are so well known. We don't need to be introduced. People just know who we are.
It's
you know,
true.
Paul and Chris and Paul. Yes, I'm Chris. He's Paul. My mother actually listened to our last podcast, which is a trip. She's probably listening to this one. Hi, Mom. She said, I couldn't tell your two voices apart. And Mom.
Oh, no.
Really? So one of us is going to have to like lower our voice a little bit or throw on a comical, cartoonish accent. I don't know how we're going to do it, but Mom needs to be able to tell our voices apart.
We got these podcasting pipes, Chris. It's I'm not sure what we can do about it. Maybe I'll try to like go deep into the Philly accent. I'll do the
Wooter.
Going to the Wawa to get hoagies and water and
up in this John.
Going down the shore, get one of those Johns. I wish I could. I grew up around it and I can't do it that well. So apologies to all of my Philadelphia friends. Hey, speaking of Philadelphia, I'm wearing my Philadelphia Phillies jersey. You are wearing a Toronto Blue Jays jersey because, thank goodness,
opening day.
We're finally here, Chris. We're finally here. The long, dark off season. I mean, spring training was fun. The World Baseball Classic was fun. Yeah, opening day, Major League Baseball opening day.
Let's get it on already. Come on, let's get all this preamble over with. This is the real. And my boys have some unfinished business to take care of. I want to pull a 1989 Oakland A's on the league. I want to do a 2015 Kansas City Royals. We're coming back. Watch out.
To finish the job.
I fully expect, and people might laugh at me, and that's fine. But I need this to help me overcome last fall. I fully expect to run it all the way back.
I think you should. You were within like an inch and a half of winning the World Series like 3 different times last year. Wow. This is an audio podcast, but if listeners could have seen the light go out in Chris's eyes just now, remembering Game 7 of the World Series, Chris, you have my deepest apologies for bringing that up.
I did. The amount of times I razzed Phillies fans over the years, I deserve it. I deserve to feel this.
Nobody deserves that, Chris.
Now I know.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It's
Philadelphia. That Philadelphia cab driver who I made fun of. He threatened to throw me out of his cab. Paul Caputo, many, many times. All the fine folks at Mitchell and Ness. I apologize. Mentioning Mitch Williams over and over again.
Wow.
Joe Carter. I'm just going to say it a few more times.
Yeah.
Joe Carter.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I accept your apology. This tasty cake, this soft pretzel, this Wawa turkey Swiss hoagie, this Pennsylvania Dutch birch beer. It's for you, Chris.
Too much.
For you.
Thank you.
Too much.
I love Philadelphia, by the way. It's my favorite place to go. I like visiting our buddy Todd down there a lot. Todd Radom, I should say.
Our mutual
He doesn't
friend,
need introduction.
Radom. He really doesn't.
You know, this introduction is going way off the rails.
Are we still on the introduction? Hey, what is Hey, Chris, he reads from his placard. What does opening day mean for branding in Major League Baseball?
It means that, hey, we're going to revisit the World Series again. Thanks a lot. The Dodgers are going to wear special gold tinged uniforms, which I am not going to watch because, nuts to the Dodgers.
Nuts to the Dodgers.
The Dodgers get to wear a gold uniform again.
How long have we been doing the gold uniform tinged thing? Because I don't remember the Phillies having it in 2008. They won in 2008 and then in 2009. I don't recall gold.
I believe the Phillies did do gold. Yeah, they wore gold. We're doing this without researching it. Our minds are old,
it's a
folks.
Podcast, Chris.
So
what I have from that 2008 World Series, you remember Game 5, which had a 48-hour rain delay. And during part 1 of Game 5, which was 5.5 innings, they're playing in the pouring rain, and Rob Manfred let the game get tied so that he could pause it without having to call it. What a wild ending to a World Series it would be if they called it during because of rain. But Jimmy Rollins was wearing a flap hat. He was wearing an Elmer Fudd flap hat. It was like a Phillies cap, but it had ear flaps basically. And they sold those for a very short time after the fact. and I have one, and I still wear it. I run in it when it's
Oh,
cold here in Colorado.
beautiful. Does it have a World Series patch on the side?
No World Series patch. No, it's just a red Phillies hat. So
You got to
uh,
get on that. Just
I
add aftermarket patch.
I have a Phillies patch. I never found a way to like get it onto anything. It was like way too
Just
rigid. I have like a World Series 2008 patch, and so
yeah, get an iron, and that's the whole thing. Okay.
it is a whole thing.
To answer your question, I believe the Red Sox were the first ones to do gold on a jersey after they won in '04.
Oh,
They wore gold for their ring ceremony.
okay.
They didn't wear it in a game. And then I think the first team to wear it in a game might have been the Cardinals
Oh, oh
in
six.
2007 when they
Well, the
won
oh
in
06
'06.
Cardinals wearing it in '07.
Um, a couple of teams didn't do it, like the Yankees didn't do it
Yeah.
because they're the Yankees.
Right, right, right.
And what's a world championship? Just another Tuesday for us. But a couple of teams really embraced it, like the Kansas City Royals when they
Yeah.
won. They kept gold as like their alternate uniform for 4 or 5 years because they loved it so much.
They're the
And
team
and
I
it makes
associate with the gold uniforms is the Royals.
and it makes sense for that, like for a team named Royals. Like they should
Yes.
just have gold as part of their palette anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Washington Nationals, they wore their special opening day gold uniforms for the entire season at home in 2020. They didn't even wear their home jerseys that year. And you know what? If you win the World Series and you're in your team's, what was it, 51st season for the Nationals, including the Expos,
Yeah.
and you finally win your first one,
Yeah.
celebrate it all year. I don't care. And the 2020 season was the COVID shortened season anyway.
Yeah.
So whatever, just go all out, have fun. No one's at the games anyways. Just really enjoy it.
Uh,
And I will point out, I'm really on a rant today,
that's good.
Paul.
No, go for it.
Um, it eats up a lot of time.
It is Chris
My
Kramer's
Blue
from
Jays,
SportsLogos.Net. So
there you
you're who
go.
they're here
Okay.
for.
My Blue Jays will wear gold on opening day
Oh,
because their 50th season patch has a gold outline on it. So we don't need your trophy. We got gold this year anyway. Take that, Dodgers.
I saw something that I really enjoyed online. It was a take that any Venezuelan player who was on the World Baseball Classic
Ooh.
champion Venezuelan team should be allowed to wear like a World Baseball Classic or a Venezuela patch or something on their uniform. I think that would be super, super cool and a really fun way to celebrate the World Baseball Classic champion Venezuelan team.
I think that's a fantastic idea. And what better way to get, more players
Right.
interested in signing up for this thing and representing their team? Like maybe 20, 25, 30 years ago now. Geez. I remember like Carlos Delgado used to wear a Puerto Rico flag pin on his cap
Uh-huh.
before MLB said
Yeah.
absolutely not. But now this would be an approved way to represent your country. And, do you do it for the whole season? Do you do it for opening day? Do you only do it for the teams that win the championship?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. It's
Yeah.
more incentive, that's for sure. That's a great idea. As long as it's, small and not too, we already have enough stuff on the uniforms these days. But
Well,
like
right.
a little patch on the side of the cap or on the back of the cap, kind of like they do something for the Roberto Clemente Award winners,
Right.
maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
love that.
yours, Paul,
I
but I love it.
I can't
Just
claim
take
it.
credit
No,
for it.
some rando on social media said it, and I wish I could credit them now because it was a good idea.
Good
Um,
idea, Rando.
way to be there, rando. One of my
Yes.
favorite things about opening day is the pomp and the circumstance, of course. The pomp and the
Hmm.
circumstance includes all of the decorations on the field, right? Like you get the
Yep.
banners, the pipe and drape, whatever. I don't know the technical terms for it, Chris, but all
The bunting, I think it's called.
the bunting, well, only in the American League. That's my little National League versus American League. We don't bunt type thing. Although I got it wrong, I should have said only in the National League. Ah, damn!
Yep.
I had such a great chance for a joke there, Chris, and
And that joke doesn't even make sense
not
anymore.
anymore because we've got the designated hitter everywhere. There is no more strategy. um, so, I mean, I liken it to we mentioned very briefly, and there was an article about it on the website about like the courts during the college
Mhm.
basketball tournament, right? Like that they actually will put like the NCAA tournament logo on there on the courts, and there was you had an article about it. I believe it was Glenn who wrote that. It might have been Andrew. I apologize,
Oh,
Glenn or Andrew.
that's an Andrew special right there.
My fault. Andrew wrote that article,
Andrew.
Andrew Lind. But, like visually for Major League Baseball, opening day is about, that pomp and circumstance, the bunting,
Hmm.
and the pipe and the drape and the
And
logos
the
on the
big
field
opening day logo on the field,
and the big
right?
opening day logo on the field and very often giant flags.
Giant flags.
Giant
Yes.
giant flags.
We we take the giant Canadian flag out of storage for 1 day, 2 days, opening day in Canada Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the new opening day logo this year, a slight tweak to it because
Okay.
MLB is standardizing their logos. I don't know if the people have realized this, but
I-
MLB has instituted a standardized logo system.
yeah.
You can really see it in the All-Star game has rules about what their logos can look like now. It's going to
Yeah.
follow a format,
Yeah.
and there are like 4 or 5 standardized MLB approved fonts for their event logos.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer,
Yeah.
but I feel like this is a compromise they're doing. Some sort of marketing student is probably saying, "Hey, we need to standardize our brand," and
It's the
designers are,
sabermetrics of branding.
yeah, exactly. Why do we like this? Because this brand gets on base. Um,
Good pull, Chris. Good pull.
yeah, that's right. I just watched Moneyball the other day.
Did you?
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. It holds up. Brad Pitt's always eating something during that movie.
That's funny. You know what movie I don't like, which features basically as the main character of the movie, the grumpy scout from Moneyball who's like, I can judge a guy by the shape of his chin, is Trouble with the Curve. I watched that movie and it just
Yes.
annoyed me the entire time. Even though I think that Amy Adams is pretty adorable, the movie itself I found
Well,
genuinely
it's
annoying.
it's it's pretty. I like baseball movies in general,
Yeah,
but so I watched this one obviously. But it's pretty
sure.
silly that none of those scouts could figure out this guy can't hit a curveball. Like he never faced a curveball his entire career. Are you kidding me?
Until he's like on the field in Atlanta, and Amy Adams was
Yeah,
like, "Throw this guy a curveball." I was like, "Wait a minute, what?"
yeah. Like, isn't this something you should have done 6 years ago?
Yeah, yeah. Chris, I used baseball movies to sort of get through the off season. Watched or rewatched a bunch of them. Mister 3000 was a fun one. Mister
Oh,
Baseball. All these like '80s movies that traffic in horrendous stereotypes. It's it was a fun way to get through the off season.
I
Chris,
well, I
let's
love showing some of these. Sorry, I love showing some of these more family-friendly
yeah,
baseball movies to my kids now. And like we watched Angels in the Outfield, the one
yeah,
from the '90s
yeah,
with the California Angels,
yeah,
and that's just good fun to show a kid. Like a ride all the way through, and Rookie of the Year, and
yeah.
I still got to show him Little Big League.
Oh yeah,
Say, hey,
yeah.
hey, bud, there's a 12-year-old's going to be manager of the Twins. Do you want to watch that? Absolutely, that
He's
sounds
like,
fun.
how hard could it be? It's the American League. Back when that joke made sense, remember? That was a joke from the movie.
Oh, was it?
It was.
I should have. Good callback, though. Good
Yeah,
callback.
right, right, right. This is so movies. So this is obviously we're diverging here, but I'm going to connect it to logos because
Mm.
as you know, my area of specialization on the website is minor league baseball. We have had a ton of articles about minor league baseball recently. By the way, I did hit number 1,000, by the way. I blew right past article number 1,000 on SportsLogos.Net. But
I'm applauding. I don't know if my microphone's picking it up, but I'm
Chris is
applauding.
quiet golf clapping right now. Thank you. Thank you. One of the articles that has come up recently is a team in Fargo, North Dakota, the Fargo
Mm.
Moorhead Redhawks. And Fargo, North Dakota, Moorhead, Minnesota, and it's a two-city team. They have an alternate identity because everybody has an alternate identity these days. And they are the Fargo Wood Chippers, based off the grisly death scene from the movie Fargo, the movie that put that town on the map. And I was laughing because I was talking to them, for my other podcast, Chris Baseball by Design, hashtag humblebrag. Sorry for buzz marketing there, but I was talking to them for that podcast, and I was saying like, well, hey, are you gonna have like movie night? Are you gonna have people come out and watch Fargo? And they were like, "Hey, dummy, do you think like we could actually put that movie up on the screen and like have like families come out and watch Fargo?" And I was like, "I guess not."
If it's safe enough for your logo and uniforms for a
Right, right.
family-friendly event,
That
maybe it's
logo
worth
actually has
rethinking.
it has like a leg sticking out of a wood
Of a
chipper.
wood chipper.
Yeah, but the Durham Bulls have the same problem, right? Like they can't have
Right.
like Bull Durham family night because it's a
You could heavily edit
right.
that movie.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
like 45 minutes long. So
I remember. So, geez, we are not following the ledger at all today here,
right,
Paul.
right. We have
Uh,
a show flow here, and it's we've got some stuff still to get to.
so they filmed a movie in my hometown, to quote the Tragically Hip, a couple of years ago. It was a horror movie, and I actually got to be an extra in it. It was called Thanksgiving, Eli Roth movie,
Yeah,
and it's a very grisly, like gory, like blood-filled, swearing-filled, violence-filled movie. But they filmed like a big scene of that movie right in our town, right in our downtown. And I remember I was at a dinner, and one of our councilmen came in and said, "I'm planning on doing a public showing of that movie once it comes out, so the whole town can come here." And I looked at him, I was like, "I think that's a very bad idea. This movie has nudity in it, it
Oh
has
no.
decapitations in it." And he's like, "Well, no, well, I'm sure it'll be fine." And guess what? They didn't show the movie.
I have a buddy who was an extra in Major League. He was a beer vendor.
Nice.
Yeah, you can see him as a beer vendor. And they filmed that in Milwaukee, not Cleveland, at like Milwaukee,
That's
like
right. Yeah,
Municipal
the old
Stadium.
county stadium.
County
Yeah.
Stadium is what it was. And yeah, you can see him. And then he tells a hilarious story about having lunch with Charlie Sheen and some of Charlie Sheen's lady friends in the like green room.
Hey, this is a G-rated podcast. Uh,
Chris,
I played a beer vendor in your Philadelphia mates M. Night Shyamalan's latest movie. I
is
was
that
a beer
true?
vendor. Yeah, I was a beer vendor in Trap, which they filmed in the Toronto area, and they cut my entire scene out of the movie. So that was cool.
Ah, it's probably because they were like, we can't tell this guy's voice from this other guy's voice, and so let's just cut the whole thing.
Let's move on to our next topic, Paul Caputo
Well,
from
we're
Philadelphia.
we're still on Major League Baseball here, and you and I are both, I think, primarily baseball guys. So
Hmm.
it's not unusual that we'd be talking about baseball, but it's, as we said, it's opening day. If you're listening to this on the day it drops, it's opening day, Chris. We
Yeah.
talked about the Dodgers Gold, but an ongoing story on, I think, episode one of this podcast, Chris, we
Hmm.
talked about the Gigantes alternate identity from the San Francisco Giants that had leaked. And now we have the formal news of that. It's out officially.
Yes.
So you wrote that up for the website. It is on there now if you want to see that. That is a fun story, alternate brand.
Yeah. As the Giants said, it's rooted in Latin American visual heritage.
Ooh,
I learned what step frets are, which is those. I don't want to offend any cultures here, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's like almost like a swirl, like a square-shaped swirl,
yeah.
which a lot of the commenters said is very like Greek
Yeah.
inspired as well.
That's
Yeah,
what I thought. It looks like the bottom of like a Roman column or a Greek column, like the pattern that you would see there.
right. But apparently it's a big Latin American thing as well. And I apologize for my ignorance on this to our Latin American listeners. So I like how they tapped into the old 80s Giants word mark across the chest there. A single orange piping down the middle, which I can't remember the last time we saw that on a baseball uniform.
Okay.
And then that step fretting design underneath the word mark in the numbers in the striping on the sleeves. They're going to wear this every Saturday home game throughout the season. Every Saturday home game is going to be a celebration of Latino culture, the
Yeah.
team says. A lot of people don't seem to have a problem with the jersey, aside from the whole, there's like gray behind the word mark and it's black on black, which
Yeah.
the Giants seem to just insist on doing over and over again. You can't see it when it's the same color on the,
Oof.
you know, is this not common knowledge?
Right.
But a lot of people had a problem with the cap. The cap does look a little goofy. I think it would have been fine if they just kept the normal Giants cap for this.
It startled me when I saw it, right? Like what you're referencing here is that they tweaked the
Hmm.
classic interlocking SF logo to incorporate that step fret on the sort of cross
Hmm.
stroke of the base of the letter S and then the cross stroke of the letter F there. Like I was sort of
It,
startled to see it, like that they would it's one thing to do a completely new brand. It's another thing to like
mhm.
tweak a classic, right?
Tweak a
Like,
classic. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and it looks like they tried to match the lettering style of the old Giants 80s word mark. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense
yeah,
from a branding point of view in terms of the design and all that. It just doesn't look right because we're so accustomed to that classic interlocked SF, and it feels unnecessary, right? Like I don't, they didn't need to do that.
yeah.
Like their brand was already strong enough. It could have translated over to it, and the sleeve patch that they did, which some people are claiming or accusing, no confirmation of this, that it looks AI generated.
Oh,
I have no idea. It looks like could have been generated by a human,
right.
designed by a human. Looks like it could have been designed by a human. I think maybe there's a lot of sensitivities around AI design. Accusations are flying,
Yeah,
but yeah, it is a very detailed, complicated patch.
yeah.
But again, it is rooted in Latin American visual heritage. step frets galore in that design.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that is not AI generated. I think
Mhm.
it is visually rich because that's what they were aiming for in terms of a design style, because that seems to be where folks go when they're. I mean, we see it with the Copa de la Diversión program in minor
Yeah.
league baseball. Visually rich, visually complicated, more than you would normally have in a brand. To me, AI generated branding, AI generated imagery is usually a shortcut for teams that don't have a budget to actually work with a human being. And I
Right.
can't imagine that Major League Baseball is going to sign off on AI generated imagery for a logo, and that San Francisco would need to rely on that. They have a whole in-house art department, Chris. Like there's no reason
Yeah,
for it.
it doesn't make, as you say, it doesn't make sense for the Giants to do this,
Yeah,
and it's not really worth the backlash if
right,
it was discovered that that's what they were doing.
right,
So yeah,
right,
no, I think realistically it doesn't pass the sniff test. I don't know
right.
if that's the right word there, but yeah, I don't think it was AI generated. It
Nah,
just looks like it was, just more that like Latino, Latin
yeah,
American
yeah,
inspired visual designs. And
right.
I'll give you an opportunity here to talk minor league baseball for a second,
Okay.
Paul, and don't abuse this. I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Copa caps all seem to have a certain theme on their visors. Is that right? They all have like a similar pattern on their visors, almost Seattle Pilots-esque. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so yes, there is this sort of visual element that is incorporated, and we just saw seven new Copa de la Diversión brands unveiled by minor league baseball, and then updates to a bunch more. There's because every time one of these brands comes across my feed, I put it on my list to write about, and so I've got a list of articles still to come about these Copa brands. But yeah, there is a standardized sort of pattern. The color changes, but there's a standardized pattern. And I have some good friends in the minor league baseball design industry who have suggested that complicates their jobs to have to incorporate this sort of standardized element, because it creates sort of competition on the cap itself. And
Yeah.
so yeah, there is this new element, and it is mandatory for all of the affiliated teams who are officially part of the Copa de la Diversión program. So
Okay, so
um,
how do you feel about mandating a visual element across, I get minor league baseball's point of view on this,
yeah,
but like, do we really want to, in a way, templatize or standardize a design? Isn't the whole point of this to allow teams to let their own local Latin American, Hispanic
yeah.
communities be represented? And now we're just saying, you know what, you're all the same.
Right. The moment you
Hmm.
standardize something like that, right? Like the moment you say, okay, we're going to have, you're going to choose from these colors and this is the pattern. Where does that pattern come from? And you can't just say it's Latin, right? Because there's so many Latin cultures, there's so many Latino cultures, Hispanic cultures. So yeah, I think it's a problem. I think templates in general, I think in uniform design and brand identities for sports teams, I think it thwarts that purpose. And I think what they were trying to do was like, this is visually rich and it is a pattern and it evokes Latinness without being specific. And the successful Copa brands are specific. The successful Copa brands,
Hmm.
in my mind, are the ones where teams work with the local individual communities and the designs come out of those conversations. The ones that are like, this is generically Latin are less successful. So,
It feels, and I'm not Latin American, but it feels like pandering. Like,
yeah. Well,
you're
there's
represented.
there's authenticity that comes from working with a specific community. And
Hmm.
there's one brand in particular right now that I'm sort of interested to see if it's going to garner a reaction right now, which is, and I wrote about it
Mm.
recently on the website, the Fayetteville Woodpeckers put out, and they have Fort Bragg, which is right there, and so there's obviously a big military community, and they've got the 82nd Airborne Division, which does its training there, and so they thought like, let's honor the military, and then let's honor our local Hispanic community with a Copa de la Diversión brand that is based on a Mexican jumping bean. And I was writing this up, and I'm like, is this going to is there going to be blowback against Mexican jumping
Uh,
bean honors our Hispanic community?
and
I
Paul, you spend a week in Puerto Rico and look at you just dropping Hispanic, Spanish. like it's nothing.
I am telling people that I'm practically a local because I've been to Puerto Rico 3 times and I cooked tostones. So
Did you pronounce that right?
I'm pretty sure I got
Tostones.
tostones right,
Yeah.
but that's pretty common, I think. So,
Oh, okay. Maybe for you.
hey, Chris, there's another Major League Baseball thing we could talk about. This
Okay,
is
let's just keep it rolling. Opening day, let's go.
Tampa Bay Rays. They had a fan vote to help them choose a new Devil Rays style road uniform. I thought that
Yes.
this was fun to see the. I'm a Manta Ray fan. I was sad to see them go away from the old Manta Ray design. And this is not John Hodgman nostalgia is a toxic impulse. I was sad in the moment when it happened in 2008. So I love that they're re-embracing the manta ray. I do find it a little funny when they try to do the manta ray and the sun ray at the same
Yeah.
time. That's a little goofy.
So the Rays, right? Like their Devil Rays time was just horrible, right?
Right.
Like in terms of performance on the field. I think they
Right.
finished 10 seasons they played as the Devil Rays.
Yeah.
Only three of them actually acknowledged that they were called the Devil Rays. They finished, I believe, without looking it up, I believe they finished last place in 9 of those 10 seasons. I might be wrong, but it's somewhere close to that.
Right.
There was an era where the AL East was the exact same standings every year for about 5 or 6 years. Yankees, Red Sox, Jays, Orioles, Devil Rays
That
every
must have
single
been
season.
that must have been very disheartening
Yeah, it
for
was
some
what it
teams,
was.
depending on where you were, I
Yeah,
guess.
I worked for the Blue Jays for 3 of those seasons. It was just, here we
I
go
didn't
again.
I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you actually worked for the Blue Jays.
I was an usher. I kicked
Ah.
you out of the good seats unless I liked you. Then I let you in the good seats. But the Devil Rays eventually they dropped their name. They dropped it from their uniforms after the 2000 season, after their third year. They went to those criminally underrated green and black uniforms without the word devil on them in 2001. And then after the '07 season, they made it official, dropped devil from their name, became the Tampa Bay Rays. Stu Sternberg, who was the owner of the team at the time, said he just didn't like the name Devil Rays. And just because of that, now
Hmm.
we have had almost 20 seasons of devil-free baseball in the Tampa Bay region. And they replaced what was a very unique uniform design logo set that they clearly could own and run with a generic blue and white uniform that didn't even say Tampa Bay anywhere on the uniform other than the initials on the cap. First of all, that's a terrible way to redesign your uniforms. Take away something that makes you unique and stand out, and then just try to blend in with the rest of the league.
Yeah.
That is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay had their own look, their own visual identity, and they said, you know what? You know what would be better is if nobody knew who we were. That'll help us.
But then they went incognito and snuck their way to the World Series.
So maybe it was a good strategy, right? So their first year as the Rays, they make it to the World Series,
Yeah.
right? And a Phillies fan would know that.
I
You
remember
you
it
ended
distinctly.
that. Yes, you ended their hopes quite well. Eric Hinsky striking out in the
Uh,
bottom,
against
top
against
of the
Brad
ninth inning.
Lidge. Slider
Brad
low and
Lidge, yeah, I
away.
remember that.
Dribbled
That
a
mini
ground.
2 inning game, right? Mini 2 inning game.
Yeah, it was like 3.5. They started in the middle of the
Yeah.
sixth inning. Jeff Jenkins led off with a double in the bottom of the sixth. Not that we need to rewatch the whole video together here, Chris, but yeah, but before Eric Hinsky struck out on that low and away slider, he hit a dribbler of a ground ball up the first baseline. It ended up being, foot or two foul. It was pretty well foul.
Right.
But every Philadelphia fan went to Bill Buckner, right? Like every Philadelphia fan went, this ball is about to go between Ryan Howard's legs. And that dribbler, my life flashed before my eyes on that. So
Yeah, how is this going to screw up for us? We just know it will.
I figured the rain had already thwarted our chances. Like it knocked
Yeah,
Cole
right.
Hamels out of the game. So, Chris,
Well,
I
we're
apologize.
going back. I know. I'll wrap it up. But so it does seem a little fishy that as the Rays are now looking to, get funding for a new stadium in
Uh,
in the Tampa Bay area,
yeah.
that, hey, you know what? Let's bring Tampa Bay back to our uniforms. What were we thinking? Actually, we loved Tampa Bay all along, even though we tried to play half our season in another country a couple of years ago. So we're going to put Tampa Bay back on and you know what? We're going to bring back the classic branding because
Yeah.
we know that's what you guys love. Whatever the reasons, I don't care. It's just going to be cool to see this unique logo set back on their uniforms. And I wonder if this means they're going to bring back the Devil Rays name they'd flip back and forth with their name. They're
Right.
going to go LA Angel style, just they just can't figure out what they want to be.
Right.
The results of the fan vote were pretty much a direct flip back to the original 98 uniform with a blue cap instead of the black as they
Yeah.
had back then. Basically, a road version of their current throwback uniforms that they wear at home. Instead of like they had three other options, which were modern recolored, blue and light blue versions of their set. So number one, the original 98 style won by a wide margin. Like I think there was of the four options, that one got 62% of the vote
Wow.
up against three others, right? Like that
Yeah.
is a clear majority. But, it's another going back in time, infinite loop of redesign type situation. Paul, do you think the Rays should go back to the Devil Rays name? And if they do, are you a fan of this approach?
Well, I'm a huge fan of the Devil Rays name. In general, I love Manta Rays. I love a Florida team playing into fun marine life. So, the name is great. The brand is funny because there's definitely like a nostalgia in play here. One of the things that I've always thought was hilarious about this brand was any team that incorporated, like any team that debuted in the 90s and used a gradient blend in their logo was just like, I love the like, look what Adobe Illustrator can do. Look what I can
Yeah,
do
that's
with
right.
PageMaker, right? Like, so,
We're designing digitally now, everybody.
right, exactly. So, I always think it's hilarious when a brand uses a gradient blend, right? Like it just seems
Hmm.
so out of place in today's branding world. And so for them to go back to that as their permanent, like this is the year 2026 and we're going to have a brand that actually like goes from purple to blue to green to yellow, like like in the word mark on the jersey would
Yeah.
be almost like comical to me. And I think it probably would not have a lot of staying power. But I think if they did something based on it, and I see
Hmm.
that there were some versions in the fan vote that would have been like based on it without being exactly it, maybe would have had a little more staying power in today's modern age. But in general, I loved the Devil Rays brand. I will buy any minor league baseball hat, as you can see on the wall behind me.
Hmm.
It's going to really take something for me to buy a hat from another major league team, and I could see getting that manta ray on a hat.
Well, yeah, I love the City Connect logo too.
Yes,
The one that looks like the bridge. Yeah, like
yeah, the
that's
manta ray and
fantastic.
bridge together. Like anytime you can do sort of two things in one simply and
Hmm.
elegantly like that, works. That's why we love the Hartford
That's what
Whalers.
a
Like
best logo is, Paul. That's what the
that's
best sports logos are those that combine multiple elements into one simple image
right,
and then on its own creates its own third image, I guess you could say.
right,
But your gradient free version of that jersey, which were options three and four in the vote, combined only got 22%.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they finished third and fourth respectively. So the
right,
fans in Tampa Bay want gradient on their uniforms. And I guess it makes sense. It's the
yeah,
origins of the team.
yeah,
I get it.
right,
And, you and I grew up with teams that had their heritage in decades that we never lived in.
yeah,
So maybe this is just us having to adapt to a new generation and they're wanting to throw back to a generation or an era that they didn't grow up in, but you
yeah,
and I did, and we
yeah.
remember clearly. And we don't look at that and go, wow, that was a great design. We look at that and go, wow, that was crazy modern design that really didn't fit in.
Yeah.
And we thought it was wacky back then. And they dropped it after 2 years because they also thought it was wacky. Purple Raptors uniforms,
Okay.
the Mighty
It,
Ducks of Anaheim, and all these other things that got dropped quickly because of the time we're like, yeah, that was a little too far, but now get romanticized in current times.
the poster child in baseball for me for this is obviously the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? Like who,
Mm.
because like you say, your point that certain teams are beholden to their heritage, the Arizona Diamondbacks never were. So they could they could throw out purple and teal and then now they're black
Mm.
and red and then they merge them all together and then they're all the colors and I kind of like it, right? Like, and you even had me interview Paul Goldschmidt that time when they put out the dark gray pants with the pattern
Yes,
that was
that's right.
sublimated on the like on the calf there.
I asked Paul Goldschmidt once in person. I said, "Hey, would you ever?" He was wearing the new Diamondbacks uniform at the time, the dark gray one. I said, "Hey, would you ever, if everything was off the table and it was just uniforms that came down to it, would you ever let whatever uniform you like, decide what team you would play for?" And he said, "Absolutely not. I don't care." So yeah, well, thanks for the
Yeah.
honest answer.
I actually got to interview him after he was traded to the Cardinals. So he's one of the
Mm.
few major leaguers that I've spoken to on multiple occasions. There was the final spring training game of the year. It was like the Battle of the Birds in Memphis, where the major league team was playing the AAA
Oh,
team,
nice.
and I got press credentials through Memphis, which because I had a connection with them, and so I got to talk to Paul Goldschmidt before the game, and I was just like, so you went from the Diamondbacks, who are among the craziest, to possibly the classic Major League
Yeah.
Baseball uniform with the St. Louis Cardinals. And I asked him a similar question, like, hey, as someone who's interested in the visual story of baseball, does that matter to you? And he was just like, no. He's like, I'm glad to be
Yeah,
on the
so
Cardinals.
there you go. He's consistent. He says that, but
Yeah.
since the Diamondbacks unveiled that crazy, wacky uniform back then, he has played for what, the Cardinals and the Yankees. So
Right.
you tell me, Paul. You tell me, various Pauls who I'm talking to right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet uniforms do
I'll
factor
bet.
into your
I'll bet
decision.
they do. This is why the Phillies can't get free agents.
Oh, come on. The Phillies have nice uniforms.
And they have a
They
lot
just
of
need to
free
put
agents. I don't know
Philadelphia.
why I said that. I'm just, woe is me.
It's because they
Uh,
didn't get Bo Bichette, and you're a little sore about that still.
I'm a little sore about that. The Mets, jeez. Well, Chris, before we get out of here, there is
Mhm.
a non-baseball story. Do we dare on opening day address a non-baseball
Uh,
story?
well, I mean, like, we've just talked, what, for 45 minutes about nothing but baseball? Do you really want to end that? Like, we could call this the baseball episode at this point.
I think this may be the baseball episode. Thank you for helping me
All right.
name the episode, Chris. That's always
I
helpful.
write headlines and I name episodes. That's my
So
two things.
we're gonna hold this fun minor league hockey story until next week, and that's what we call a teaser, a cliffhanger. Stay
Sure. As
tuned.
as much of a cliffhanger of AHL identities could be. Like, oh, you're not going to want to miss this one, folks.
Well, and it could be a situation where blink and you do miss it. So we will address this non-baseball thing next week. We'll be a week into the baseball season. We'll have standings to talk about, Chris. We'll have
Oh,
uniform
oh,
mishaps. We'll have ad patches
oh.
to talk about. We're back.
Stop. I can only take so much.
Baseball is back, and we're all so
Oh,
happy.
I'm so happy baseball's back. I already feel warmth in my soul, Paul.
Well, and warmth. It was 88 degrees in Colorado, by the way, the other day, which
That sounds warm. I'm sure that was
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of degrees.
Fahrenheit, not Celsius. 88 degrees Celsius would be a different
Oh,
adventure.
good. 88 Celsius. Man, you
That
couldn't step outside.
that's what it was in Arizona, I think, the last couple of days. It's been quite hot there, but it is warm outside. It is warm in our hearts, and we're gonna enjoy reading all about Major League Baseball on SportsLogos.Net for the next week,
For the next season.
for the next season. But it'll keep you occupied for the next week until our next episode of the Sports Logos Something About Logos.net podcast.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Paul. See you later,
Thanks,
everyone.
Chris.